Israel and the US have accused Sir Keir Starmer of rewarding Hamas after he announced plans yesterday for the UK to recognise a Palestinian state in September, unless Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government commits to peace.
The Prime Minister issued the ultimatum to his Israeli counterpart after an emergency cabinet meeting. And we're joined now by Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander. Lots to talk to you about this morning. Let's kick off with that ultimatum, though, hugely symbolic, of course. However, in terms of securing a better situation for the people of Gaza, it doesn't feel like it's going well. On the one hand, you've got Netanyahu saying it's a reward for terrorism, which, in fact, in a tweet, he says, brings the threat to Britain by that behaviour. And on the other side, the way the ultimatum is phrased, what motivation is there for Hamas to get on board? Because one of the requirements is they give up power.
So we're not pretending as a government that any of this is easy. Obviously, the conflict in the Middle East has raged for many, many decades. But what we're seeing at the moment is beyond horrifying. And it is the view of the government and the Prime Minister that it is now right to set out that pathway to recognising
I understand
a Palestinian
that, and I
state.
apologise for interrupting, but that wasn't really my question. My question is how effective is it, do you believe? Because so far it doesn't look like there's motivation for it to be so.
So we've got to try something because the viability of the two-state solution that my party, the Labour Party, has long supported and has been the constant position of this government since we came to power, that two-state solution is looking further and further away because the actions of the Israeli government in the last few months means that is vanishing before our eyes as a possibility. We've seen whole tracts of Gaza razed to the ground. We've seen the effective annexation of the West Bank. Children are starving in Gaza at the moment, and their parents are being shot and killed when they are simply trying to get their hands on the meagre amount of food that is currently getting into Gaza. And so whilst we are working with our international allies to get more aid in, this week we've dropped British-funded aid from the air, working with the Jordanian Air Force. But that's a poor substitute for the hundreds of trucks of food that need to be getting in every day to relieve the starvation in Gaza. And so what we have said is that we will recognise the state of Palestine in advance of the UN General Assembly, unless Israel takes some concrete actions, allowing UN aid back in, committing to a ceasefire, stopping the annexation of the West Bank and engaging in a process about getting to that two-state solution, because the long-term security of both Israelis and Palestinians is dependent upon having that two-state solution, a safe and secure Israel alongside a sovereign and viable Palestinian state. But let me be clear about this, Kate. This is not about rewarding Hamas, as you said in your introduction. This is about the Palestinian people. This is about the Palestinian children who are starving. Hamas is a terrorist organisation. It's a vile organisation that has committed heinous acts and heinous atrocities. And we have been absolutely clear in our condemnation of Hamas. We are also unequivocal about the fact that there is no role for Hamas in the governance of a future Palestinian state. We've seen the Arab states in the last few days come out and also make a statement about this, because we have got to use this moment in time to try and chart a different course for Gaza and for Israel. The gravity of the situation is clear for all to see. It's horrifying what is happening. And so we think that this is the moment to say, to move this forward and to say that we will recognise the state of Palestine. And it's up to Israel to come to the table now in the next 8 weeks and to set out
I think you've made that point.
What it will do if it wants to be part of the negotiations around an enduring peace.
OK, you clearly...
I'm really sorry. I've totally lost my earpiece.
Right.
Don't worry.
These
things happen.
That would explain why
I'm really
you weren't
sorry.
hearing anything. We'll give you a second just to get the
that back in,
earpiece
maybe.
back in. And normally, in my
go, I've got it
experience,
back
when that
in.
happens,
Really
it normally
sorry.
comes back quite fast. Are you back with us, Heidi Alexander? Are you back with us now?
I've just managed to get it back in my ear.
I know that
it totally
moment.
popped out of my ear. My apologies. I didn't hear any of your questions. I'm
I know
really
that
sorry.
moment. Don't worry at all. I know that moment. You start talking and keep going because you can't hear anybody saying, yes, we understand. The Israeli Prime Minister is clearly upset with you. So is Nigel Farage. He said what your colleague Peter Kyle said yesterday was so below the belt, it's untrue. Nigel Farage wants to get rid of the online safety bill. Can you explain to us what Peter Kyle was saying about why this would aid Jimmy Savile's?
So, look, I'm not upset about Nigel Farage being upset with the Labour Party, to be honest. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. It is a fact that it is the position of the Reform Party that they would repeal the Online Safety Act in its entirety. This was a piece of legislation that created new offences like cyber flashing. This is to stop men sending indecent images to 15-year-old children. Someone's been convicted of this in the last couple of months. And if the Reform Party is saying that they want to repeal that legislation, the logical consequence of that is that those new offences go, that the work that is now happening to stop illegal content being shown to youngsters, all of that stuff around pornography, materials promoting suicide, that as a consequence of the age verification measures that have come in connected to the Online Safety Act. This Labour government is protecting children online, and yet Nigel Farage and his party want to go backwards. They want to move us backwards. Now, I know they're the party of yesteryear, but really, I would have thought that we could all agree on the importance of taking really serious steps to protect children online.
You didn't mention the name Jimmy Savile. Is that deliberate? Is that because you don't want to repeat what Peter Carr said?
Oh, no, not at all, to be honest, Ed. I think the point that Peter Kyle, the Technology Secretary, was making yesterday was that it'd be inconceivable if social media was around in the days when Jimmy Savile was grooming children in real life. Of course he would have been on a smartphone seeking to get in touch with kids and youngsters. And that is what this government, this Labour government, is determined to take action on. And so, I think Peter Kyle was saying that those predators, people like Jimmy Savile, they now operate in the online world as they were operating decades ago in the real world. And of course, those two things often ferment one another. What's going on in online spaces and what's happening in real life. And that's why this government is taking very concrete steps to address it and to make the internet safer for our children.
Thank you very much indeed, Heidi Alexander, Transport Secretary. Because of the tsunami, we're under huge pressure for time. I know you're announcing today releasing transport land from the railways in order to build homes. And that's your announcement today. I'm sorry we couldn't talk to you about that, but thank you for coming on our programme this morning. We really appreciate it.